Ciao.
Anybody's girl. Here's Mary.
No, wait a minute. I want to talk to
Here, you.
Tell Mary to get on the extension.
You talk.
Mother's on the extension. I am not.
I'm on the right microphone, don't I?
Yes.
Good.
And I assume I sound like I'm on the right microphone.
No, you sound like crap. I'm kidding. No, you sound fine. Please. Are you kidding? You're Chuck Joyner. You're like a pro. You always sound great. Chuck Joyner is spending the week with us, everybody. And I will tell you right now. Well, first I'll tell you how to find Chuck. It is at Chuck Joyner on Twitter. Or is the best place to send people if they want to find you online, MacVoices.com, or is there someplace else you want them to go?
No, that's always the best place. That way they'll get more of me than they really want.
Okay. Nice. And I'm assuming you repost everything from your different Twitter accounts at Chuck Joyner, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
I use there is a MacVoices account, of course, but I also use the at Chuck Joyner to promote the MacVoices stuff.
Okay. So normally Monday is news to the guest, but we're shifting things around a little bit this week because, I don't want to say there's bigger news because I don't know what Chuck wants to talk about on It's News to Chuck, but we're moving that till Tuesday because Chuck did say, hey, one thing we could talk about next week when we were talking last week was, some of the stuff that Apple has announced as far as the expanded child protection, if you're on that side, or the, slippery slope into authoritarian rule over your information, if you want to stand on that side of the argument. Chuck's concern was that, that discussion might be played by Tuesday or later. I say, Chuck, settle in, because, you have those stories that you read them and you're like, well, that'll be the next year of my life.
Well, let's hope not, Ken.
Yeah, well, but it's going to be, I think it's going to be, well, this is not going away, certainly in the next week or two, I don't believe. But tons of stuff to hit on at Apple's child protection changes, we'll say. I'm trying to figure out which one of us would be best to sort of recap what Apple announced. Do you want to do it or do you want me to do it?
I'll let you do it since it's your show. And
okay.
That way you can hit the points that you think are the highlights.
Well, no, I don't want to hit any. Well, basically there were three things that Apple said that they were going to do. There were changes in communications, which had to do basically with a kid's account. So if somebody's on a family account and they are between whatever age and 17 years old, if they go to send something that's a little risque, or if they're about to receive something that's a little risque, they will actually get a message saying, hey, are you sure? Now, if the child in question is 13 years of age or under, there's actually a setting that you can do in Messages or iMessage that'll say, okay, you can go ahead and do that if you want to, but we are going to let your parents know. It's interesting to me that 13 is the cutoff there. 13 to 17, it'll still just give the warning to the kids, but you can't set a setting that says we're also going to tell your folks, which honestly surprised me because if you're going to go that far, why are you going to go that much further? The one that seems to have upset most people is the stuff that's going on in iCloud, where it will scan for what I was calling CSAM, which stands for Child Sexual Abuse Material, as CSAM, but that was too long to say, so I started calling it CSAM because, that's how it was written. And this is the thing where if you're about to upload a picture to iCloud, what it does is it takes that picture and it turns it into a hash, a series of numbers and letters that, are indecipherable. But that same thing has been done with known CSAM material. And so if a hash comes back and it's like, well, I don't know what this is a picture of, but I know that this string of letters and numbers matches this string of letters and numbers that's said to be a no-no, I'm going to call the popo, right? It's going to then call the police or notify the National Center for Exploited and Missing Children, or Missing and Exploited Children, I can't remember which way that goes, and say, this is bad content and we're up to no good here, and somebody do something. Although if you feel like that was done by mistake, you can also appeal it, which I imagine will be easy from inside a jail cell. And then finally, the third thing is Siri. Now, these people are the dumbest people. I'm sorry. If you're using Siri to find kiddie porn, you deserve to go to jail. Because I think this, and in fairness, they are doing a thing where they do say they will actually let people know that the kind of stuff that they're looking for is harmful and that they, probably need to seek help. And then they will offer them help as well. But the third thing is actually using Siri both to say, If you feel like something has happened to you, if you're a kid and you feel like something has happened to you, or if you're an adult and you come across content that you're concerned about, or you're worried about something that's going on with someone, you can ask Siri for help on that. Like, where can I get help with this? Where can I learn more information? And Siri will help you with that, which is great. And then, of course, if you actually use Siri to look for that kind of content, you're an idiot. Sorry. And also, you shouldn't be looking for that kind of content. And also, Siri will hopefully direct you to a place where you can get the kind of help you more than need. So that's kind of where Apple landed on Thursday. And then the privacy-minded folks kind of had some concerns. I'm curious where you landed, sir.
Okay, so the third one, I'm with you. I mean, I almost don't think that bears discussing because,
right.
Yeah, you have to be really stupid, and my perception is that doesn't cost anybody anything. So let's cut that one out.
Okay.
The first one, I mean, look, I'm not a parent, so I'm quick to say that, but this can be turned off. If I understand how it's going to be implemented, all the warnings and everything can be turned off. If your parents just choose to just let you run wild or don't have concerns or, very, very free-spirited, great, then, that's fine. So it's one more tool to protect kids and, protect kids beyond just exposure to this material. A quick story. I had a friend whose son, this has been a couple years ago, I admit, but he received a text photo of one of his female classmates from another a male classmate of a revealing nature. And the cops basically, came and took the kid in, my friend's son, who had done nothing. He opened it, he looked at it, that was it. He didn't forward it on, and he deleted it. And yet they made, what we used to call a federal case out of it. Now, he ended up not getting in any trouble, but, he was kind of put through the ringer. And I felt like, that's, it's like receiving a text that will translates into a virus or something. It's nothing you did. It just showed up on your phone. And if somebody sends you a text, well, of course you're going to open it. I mean, that's what we do with texts. So I that one too, I personally kind of put off to the side. It's the middle one that I'm a little bit surprised. I understand the concerns, but I want to give Jeff Gamet credit for this because he pointed out this technology is kind of already there to one degree or another to recognize things in photos on your phone. And so, you can search for your friends, your family, beach balls, lighthouses, cars, whatever, just by deciding that's, show me pictures with. So this could be a fun thing to do, but it also could be a dangerous thing to do if you had the appropriate corpus of a photos library and you said, show me breasts. Well, what would it show you? Breasts, or would you get something coming from Colonel Sanders? I don't know. But the fact that, and again, as I understand it, and correct me if my understanding is not correct, but this is against established images. So, if it were, terrible example, but I'll do it anyway. If it were a picture of the Mona Lisa, and that's the hash that is built into this, then every time somebody texted somebody a picture of the Mona Lisa, it's going to flag it. But if it's a picture of your sister or my girlfriend or something and doing a Mona Lisa pose in Mona Lisa makeup, it's not going to do it because the hash does not match up. So if that understanding is correct, then I'm struggling with why, this is such a bad thing, especially in the hands of Apple, the people that stood up to the FBI and all the hassle over the one shooter situation where they wanted to unlock the iPhone.
Yeah, personally, I think everybody's concentrating on the wrong thing because the stuff in iCloud lives on somebody else's server. And that's the thing. That's one of the things that the guys from Secure Mac talk about all the time. When you talk about sending something to the cloud, there is no such thing. The cloud is a server that is owned by or belongs to someone else, right? And yes, you're right. The fact that what they're doing there is comparing known child exploitation content against stuff that you're uploading. And if the stuff that you're uploading looks like known child exploitation content and matches something that's there, none of that seems like the wrong thing. I'll tell you honestly, the one that worries me more is the looking at my pictures before I send them. The thing that's going on with the very first one. Because, as you and Jeff point out, I actually tried it earlier today. I went to my photo library and I typed in the word dog. And I got 270 something matches for the word dog. And the two things that trouble me about that are, one, I never tagged any of them as dog. And the other one is it also showed me a picture of my cat. So it was wrong. And the thing is, that's fine. You know, I mean, it's actually a really neat, really sort of fun thing. Except Apple now is saying, right, so every time you send a picture, we can actually take a look at that picture and decide whether it's appropriate for you as somebody who's 13 to 17-year-old to send. We can also look at the picture before you receive it and decide whether or not it's appropriate for you as a 13 to 17-year-old or, 12 to 17-year-old or whatever, a kid who's up to 17 to receive. And we're doing it for the children, and that's great. But as a number of privacy advocates have pointed out, there is nothing to stop them from doing that from anybody. Or to anybody, and there's nothing to stop those parameters from widening, right? If you are in China, if you are in Saudi Arabia, if you are in a more totalitarian U.S., and you and I talked a long time ago about the fact that the House Un-American Activities Committee happened in my parents' lifetime. You don't even have to talk about what's happened over the past 6 months to 4 years. You can go back 50 years or 60 years and talk about the kinds of things that were happening here, the kind of blacklists that were happening here that were keeping people from working because they were interested in certain ideas. And suddenly, it is not inconceivable that my messaging app might say, oh, that's interesting. That sign protesting the government is the kind of thing that we've now been told that we have to be out on the lookout for. And that's not something that happens tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. But everybody who talks about it being a slippery slope, it's angled. I don't know if it's slippery yet. I don't know how much it's going to hold, but there's an angle there that I can certainly see. I can certainly see some of the worry, and I think it would be fair to say I share some of them.
And I don't disagree with that. You'd be a fool to disagree with the concern. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I mean, look, let's face it, a lot of this technology is already out there, and it may not be installed on everybody's phone yet, but I personally would be convinced that it's probably been introduced to a lot of Android phones, and I'm not picking on Android. I'm picking on that because Android is not the walled garden that iOS is. But I don't know. I get it, and it feels like this is something that Apple may have to push back on if they get those requests, demands, just like they pushed back on the FBI. And I feel like Apple's the company that would, could, should do it if it comes to that. Now, we also have the legislators that need to be better educated about some of this so that they aren't the ones advocating some of these silly positions about, just a backdoor for us. Mm-hmm. I mean, same thing with this. It is either for everybody or nobody. And I think that's where it needs to end. But there were two things that I saw over the weekend, and these are going to seem very strange, I'm sure, to you. But the first one, I saw a quote, a piece on Facebook that advocated you, me, anybody not using self-checkout at the checkout counter because it's taking jobs. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then the second one was a quote from Bill Belichick, the New England Patriots head coach, talking about the practice last week. Quote, if it rains, it rains. If it doesn't, it doesn't. If it's hot, it's hot. If it's not, then that's what it is. And I feel like both of those resonated with me because I felt like some of this is what it is. And, to fight the future by saying we're going to stick our head in the sand and we're not going to turn on this technology, you're losing the opportunity to protect the kids, but you are also leaving it open for people to abuse, as opposed to saying, yeah, we're going to do this and try to protect the kids, and we're going to take pretty stiff stances as long as we can legally do it against the abuse of the technology.